Glad to have you back. Now, there are recommendations from the ongoing spring meetings by the World Bank and IMF on global economies and sub-Saharan African economies. But Nigeria in particular has been advised to remove fuel subsidy and also tread cautiously when taking loans from China. Economic analyst Dr. Emeka Okengo now joins me live from Abuja. Glad to have you join us, Dr. Emeka. Now,
thank you very much for having me.
Yes, we know that the ongoing meeting, Springs and IMF meeting, the suggestions are being raised and recommendations for Nigeria in particular, talking about removal of subsidy. Let's start this way. What do you make of that at this time?
Well, I don't think the IMF actually asks for the removal of subsidy. What that report actually, says is that if we were able to refine locally the 2 million barrels of oil that presently we are taking out of the country, that it had the capacity to contribute between 3% to 4% to the GDP. So when you were talking about removal of subsidy, it wasn't as if they said, oh, remove subsidy and then keep doing it the way you used to do it. I am also of opinion that subsidies should be removed. Trust me.
Indeed.
I'm not one for subsidies at all.
Indeed. Other analysts have even come up to say that before now, that we cannot continue to sustain this huge fund. We can use it to build hospitals, for education, and other infrastructure projects.
Yeah, true, because you see, we must be able to understand what these subsidies are. They are actually not subsidies. What they are payment differentials. Okay, a subsidy is a production-based instrument. The moment you put subsidies on a product, it becomes price differential. So what actually we are paying for, is as long as you have the dollar, widening the gap against the naira, so much would you be having, more subsidy you need to pay. So I don't think the subsidies, the way we have it now, is the way we should go. But if you're talking about subsidies that are based on production, then yes, then it can be of some benefit to us. The more you keep the subsidy, and you're subsidizing truly what is of no real value to your economic development. You are not subsidizing diesel, which you use in your industries. You are subsidizing petrol, which does not even run, your heavy transportation. There is no heavy transport from trailers to lorries, from any diesel engines that uses PMS. It is actually, if you may, recreational. So if you're going to be putting any subsidies, you must be able to put subsidies for things that can be able to support your production. I do not see how, subsidizing PMS, will be able to help us increase the production.
Dr. Okengo, there's also been this discussion, even by oil and gas experts, that this field, PMS in particular, petrol, should be deregulated. We know that diesel has been deregulated one way or the other, but some are scared of what might happen if that decision is taken.
Well, you see, they are afraid of it because we have not been able to get our transportation systems right. If you had mass transportation, if you had trams, if you had rail lines, if you had, articulated buses, where people, if you even had what you call the park and ride systems, where people are able to now, you have, where you can cluster your cars and get into a bus, you wouldn't be needing, to be scared of deregulating or even removing completely subsidies on what you call the premium motor spirit or PMS. So I think the major thing is that we've not been able to get our policy program right in that direction. But if we don't, it is going to sink us. That's truly the truth.
Dr. Okengo, I'm also going to do a follow-up on that, because many believe that the marketers, with what we've seen before now, with people getting subsidy on products not brought into the country, many say marketers might still play, there might be sharp practices. That is why some are scared and they might take advantage of Nigerians.
Well, again, remember that there's been this argument that in the first place we are not even consuming, and it's been an argument that has resonated. It's not like that's been reverberating. Nobody has actually come out to give the whole figures. I mean, we went through a recession where a lot of people lost their businesses. We didn't. That was one sector that never diminished or dimmed. We were still importing more petrol. I mean, come to think about it, for me as a person, I like to deal with facts. I like to deal with facts that I can be able to interrogate. I do not think that we even have a capacity to consume the level and amount of PMS that is being banded as being consumed, by the country on a daily basis. That's one. Two, cases are there abound. People have been sent to jail for subsidies frauds. And these frauds were, because they were joking with numbers. They were inflating figures. So it's not as if we don't have a history to this subsidy fraud thing. So you are not trying to promote something that might happen. You are just sounding what has happened already. The fraud is there. A lot of people were sent to jail. People are still in court for it. A lot of ships that were supposed to be betting were not even in the high seas anywhere. So for me, subsidy is not the way to go. Local refining is, I think, our best bet. And I think that's what the IMF, a lot of people have criticized that IMF document, but I really do not see, what is wrong with the document that says against your 6 to 9%, growth projections, you are still under 2%. Against all, the vulnerabilities that you should have been able to cater for that can be able to, bring down or be able to help you now address what you call your critical needs. A lot of it is still being challenged because you don't have any, planned program of action that can be able to address your health, that can be able to address your education. So these are the issues of the IMF. I don't think we should just take one aspect of it and then we leave the meat of what the thing is. I think in all, what that document is trying to say is that we need to do more, to be able to get our economics right.
Okay, let me ask you this, Dr. Okengo. We know what happened at the time when a particular government tried to remove subsidy, protests, and all of that. Let's assume it happens today. What do you expect from Nigerians, or how do you think this government should go about it if they had to do that?
If you ask me in one word, I would have said, let us first and foremost look at our mass transportation systems. Like I said earlier, if it's possible for us to be able to get articulated trucks, if it's possible for us to be able to get our light rail systems, okay, if we're able to get what you call the park and ride system, first is all about our mass transportation. Now, that's one way to go. Another way to go, let's even look at this PMS thing. PMS is actually going out of fashion. There is what they call the CNG, compressed natural gas, okay, that's been used or is being used in most developed countries in running their public transport systems and even, commercial vehicles. We have a lot of gas wasting in Nigeria. We had actually done 1 or 2 promos. I think they had 1 or 2 stations of CNG somewhere in either Warri or Bini or somewhere. And cars had been tested. And what you save using a CNG, you'll be saving close to about 200% on what you spend on PMS. And this is what we have locally. So in one word, I will say to you, the way to go is let us be able to look at the possibility of moving away from PMS and moving into CNG, especially for public transportation. The other hand, let us make certain that we now have our light rail systems. Okay, our integrated transportation systems that are functional. The moment we get the mass transportation system up and running, you're going to be removing a lot of pressure, for people who depend on their PMS.
Dr. Emeka Okengo, economic analyst, thank you very much for your time.